Hi, welcome to another Toonkind at 12 FPS. I'm KT, and I'm going to be playing Lorem Parif, my wonderful idiot. This is called Page 1. Hopefully no more than medium angst, probably some fluff. And I'm here with the wonderful author of Atrocities.
Hi, I'll be playing Rubberandyoureglue, or glue for short. I do finger guns.
Wonderful.
And they've had a little bit of a time, less of a time than Lore has recently, but yeah.
A time nonetheless.
Mm.
They experienced anger.
They experienced something.
Mm-hmm. I love them. I hold them. I want to braid their hair. Anyway.
But yeah, they, What brings a Lore to the Toontown Public Library?
Well, well, there's the fact that he just ends up places that are convenient. I look at the fact we haven't done part 2 yet, but I know for a fact that Lore's going to do something to piss off applied phlebotomum. And so,
Oh boy.
in my brain, applied phlebotomum is just making it being overly helpful with things and being like, well, if you want to do something, here you are now. And he's like, I didn't want to do this just yet, but fine. Anyway, is at library, has been wanting to go to the library, has been wanting to see if he can find out any shit about his situation or related situations or what the fuck anything is ever. Also, libraries, safe space. He likes stories. He tries not to think too hard about why. Anyway, he walks in.
He walks in,
Yep.
and you find yourself in a big, airy atrium with sort of this large, forbidding desk in the middle of it, made apparently mostly of books. And it's got this squat, fat, little person who looks up and goes, "Hello and welcome to the Toontown Public Library. How can I help you today?"
Lord just walks up and waves in a friendly manner, and just says, do you have any, like, archives on, like, ancient deities or anything like that?
Southern wing, 3rd floor.
Thank you very much. Have a good day. And they just kind of wave, and, they look
You too,
scary.
sweetie.
Yep, cool. Yep, he doesn't say that. He's just like, yep, don't piss off that person. They seem scary. Librarians are scary. Keeps walking.
All right, so I like to think that he like starts walking and he's like, okay, how do I get to the southern wing, 3rd floor? And then like he scene changes and he looks up at a sign that says southern wing, 3rd floor, and he's like,
Absolutely. I just realized, I'll type it.
mm?
Potentially. Not now, but eventually, maybe. Anyway, that's a thing potentially. Anyway, yeah, no, they sing transition. And did you want to, did we want to do the gag we talked about? Or,
Yeah.
Cool, wonderful. He's seen transitions before. And as he does, he notices as well a caution, sign about wet floors and starts sliding.
Yep.
She's just like,
Could you make me a dex check at disadvantage?
Is it a dex save or just normal dex?
Dex save, excuse me.
Oh, just double checking because you never know. There's the first one.
Nope.
Yep. 17.
I'm ignoring both of those.
Yep, go for it. I mean, there's always the very graceful way of falling into somebody. Anyway.
Yeah, Lore, you are fucking on your way down, buddy. Like, it's, you know, that moment in between starting to fall and stopping falling where you're just like, this is going to hurt at
Bullet
least a
time.
little.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're just like, well, you may be wondering how I got here.
Mm-hmm. Going down like a bullet, like a bobsled.
Mm. And then something skinny and kind of cold and very bony breaks your fall. And you are sort of being held by your waist. Sort of, your head is a few feet from the floor. Your feet are a few feet from the floor.
Wonderful. Lord just kind of looks up. What does he see?
Yep.
Should I roll perception? Or do I just see?
No, they're holding him. You see, probably the first thing is a curtain of long, lank, slightly stringy, pearlescent hair that frames this almost owlish face with very large, very mirror-like reflective round eyes, sort of blank expression. Attached to a very long body, wearing sort of raggedy overalls and shirt. And you are being held by someone taller than you. And they sort of like put your feet down, straighten you up, and just sort of like blink.
This is a new experience for Lore. Lore steadies himself, probably uses this person's arms to do so, and then just looks up at them and he's like, thank you. But Lore Muse's first thought was, hair, pretty. But yeah, they're just gonna look at this person and be like, thank you. I didn't mean to do that. They're processing how tall this person is.
Didn't mean to do that. And it's your voice just sort of emanating from this person's open mouth.
Wow, Lore's disconcerted by that for sure. And he just kind of doesn't say take a step back, but kind of like jolts because didn't expect that. And he just kind of tilts his head after a second and goes, actually, I'm gonna roll a thing just to see. Nope, that was the wrong one. That's a 15. It's still fine. And he tilts his head and he's like, oh, do you only echo?
Echo?
Is that a yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, cool. He just smiles happily and reaches out a hand and says, my name's Lorem. Lorem Choir Parif. Nice to meet you. What's your name?
Nice to meet you. And they pull out a little business card with very ornate handwritten cursive that says Rubberandyoureglue, Toonkind Public Library, janitor, they, them.
Wonderful. Lore repeats their name, Rubberandyoureglue, and asks, Rubberandyoureglue, do you have a nickname?
And they say the part that you said in your voice, just glue.
Oh. Lore just smiles, and he reaches into his pocket and he pulls out his own very ornately written on quote-unquote business card with his name on it and hands it to Glue.
They scan it. sort of tilting it into the light. They look vaguely approving of your handwriting.
Yeah, it's I look at his proficiency in calligraphy.
Nice.
It's very good. But Lawyer kind of takes out a book from his backpack and puts Glue's card in there under friends and closes it and puts it back in his bag and says, well, just kind of looks down suspiciously because he's like, what the fuck is Flo doing?
Say again?
Lore kind of in his head is like, what the fuck is Flo doing?
I like to think that like he looks back at the piece of floor that he slipped on, and like there's a sign, but like the floor looks dry.
Lore just blinks and blinks again and then looks irritated and sighs and curses under his breath in a language that you may or may not know. Does Gloo know any languages besides Common and Grolix?
They know. Let me check. Common, Grolix, Primordial, and Sylvan.
Wonderful. It's none of those. It's not Dwarvish, dang it, Gnomish. He's cussing in Gnomish. They have the best cusses.
Angry gnomes. Anyways.
When you make that many inventions that catch on fire, you come up with some creative language.
You know what? That's fair. But yeah, Glue sort of tilts their head and looks, because they swear they just mopped over there. And you can actually see now that you're standing up that this person has a mop in hand and a bucket. The mop is actually proportional to them, which is very amusing. They are fucking tall.
Laura's looking up and is kind of happy about it.
They just sort of blink owlishly.
Laura's awkwardly staring. He doesn't realize he's being awkward, and then he just kind of blinks and he's like, oh, right, I came up here to look for books. Kind of looks around trying to figure out where the flippy is.
I think they open their mouth, and in the librarian from before's voice, they go, what can I help you with?
Laura kind of startles at hearing that librarian's voice again, and he's like, I was looking for, well, kind of rubs the back of his neck. I guess books that aren't as common, probably on deities that aren't as well known, or how incarnation or reincarnation might work. I don't know. He just kind of shrugs and looks away.
They consider this, and then they say in a very young voice, well, maybe we can work together.
That would be really helpful, actually. I have a tendency to get, they just kind of sigh and say, lost, I guess you could say.
Consider this. I think that they pause, they look down at him, and they hold out a hand for him to take.
Or just kind of looks at it and goes, oh, okay, and smiles and takes it.
And they just sort of lead you by the hand deep into the library stacks. It's actually walking through this library and not just sort of weirdly teleporting through it is wild. There's twists, there's turns, there's nooks, there's crannies. At one point, you're sort of zoning out, and then you look back did we just walk on the wall for a little bit, or was that the ceiling? And in a very long time, but also no time at all, glue pulls you to the side and into what actually looks like a pretty promising aisle.
Laura's brain hurts about the MC Escher style everything. There's a clip from a movie I gotta show you that I think would be very good comparison to this. But they kind of look around for a second and start kind of trying to find something, and they look back at Glue and say, thank you for your help. Do you know this section at all?
They nod.
Do you know of anything that might be helpful?
Maybe they look around. I think that they're going to roll. I'm going to give them advantage on this one because they live here. They know nothing better than they know this library.
Mm-hmm.
21.
Nice.
What book did they pull out, KT?
Oh gosh, I forgot. I have to make decisions. Let's see. I actually think that they. I'm gonna flavor this a little bit. Laura is wearing earrings that have a little mark on them, and that mark looks really familiar. It's kind of like this weird swirl with a circle on top and then a swoosh. It almost looks like a little person. And Glue, you remember seeing that symbol on a book, and you pull it out, and it's this very. It looks new and old at the same time. And do you hand it over or do you look it over?
I think they look it over first. They're curious.
Do they open it at all?
Sure.
Cool. This book has no title, just the symbol. And when they open it, it doesn't have a publisher name or anything on it, but it does have a flower that matches this person's shirt.
Flip to the first page.
Let's see, first page. Let's say that this is in. You recognize the language, but it's kind of. It's talking about. It looks like it's talking about history, but in a way that is coded in fairy tale. Think of like in Harry Potter, the what is it, the Three Brothers thing, Beetle the Bard.
Yeah. I think they you see this person start to offer you a book and then pause looking at it and start flipping through it. They sit down on their butt in front of you and just start paging through it with a little frown.
Laura kind of tilts his head and does the same, kind of sits down and recognizes the symbol, and it's like a weird mix of hope and dread and anxiety, because he's like, oh, yeah, no, I haven't seen that symbol in Einquell yet, because it's, Laura knows that is the symbol for the deity Lore. Which, if you know anything recently, he has some feelings about. But Glue, as you page through this, you read stories let's see, let's make one up. There was one I was working on where it's like a story of someone who has not properly considered their own story, and through that they have been it uses an analogy of a torn out pages from a book and how their story is taken, or stories about doorways that were not respected and the person has disappeared, things like that, or stories about what would it be like to live a life how should I phrase this? What if you could have another story? Kind of deal.
Yeah, they are. I think that they snake a long arm around Lord so that he can, like he's not quite in their lap, but like he's leaning close so that he can read over their shoulder. And I hope you're a fast reader because they are paging rapidly through this.
He is a sight reader, yes. This is why earlier they accidentally took one glance at Minami's desk and accidentally got all that information at once.
Oh, one sec. Come here.
Is it a criminal?
Squeaky.
Is it a criminal?
It is a criminal.
A criminal.
Full of crimes.
Full of crimes.
Much. God, do I have flow for a cat? Anyways.
Quite potentially.
Jesus. Anyways. Don't. I look at you, Katie. Do not.
Do not what?
Never mind. Anyways.
Yeah, no, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's you probably get through this entire book in like 5 minutes flat with just them like flip, like either they are a sight reader or they're getting some information from this book other than reading it.
Yeah, Laura's taking in all these stories. There's some that he recognizes, which is surprising because they're from Ordinal Point. Which is weird because he hasn't been able to find any information on Ordinal Point here. And he's looked as much as he can. So that's fucking weird. And so there's a few stories that he doesn't know at all, and some that he thinks could mean other things, but like it's going to take time to like consider what they might mean. But it's a book of lore, quite literally.
Nice. I think at last, they get to the end of the book, and they check the last few pages for still no publisher, still no, publishing information.
No, it has that flower, and I think roll a whiz save.
Sure. What's your whiz there, buddy? Okay. $19.
19, that's pretty high. There's a word that you see, but it's hard to read.
A little closer.
And it's not that it's hard to read, it's like you can see the word, but it's not sticking.
You see them just sort of stop and stare at this word and stare. They're wrestling with it.
I'm gonna roll for my boy, and that's a slightly different roll for him for other reasons. Oh, yeah, no, Lord looks at Glue and looks down at the page, and he sees the word, and he knows the word, and it's fuzzy, but all at once he remembers the name of the country he's from, Meridian. And he's just kind of frozen. Because with that, a bunch of memories come back. Again, fuzzy, but he remembers shit.
Gosh.
And Lord just kind of sits there frozen with his eyes very wide. And does Glue want to roll insight?
I think they will in a second once they look up from this fucking word. Like, they are fucking grappling with this. Don't fucking tell them what they can't read.
That's hilarious. I love them.
They're like, they can do one thing. They can't do emotions. They can't do memories, but they can fucking read. So don't fucking tell them what they can't read.
I wiggle.
Like, I think that, like, they're very slowly leaning forward until their forehead is almost pressed to this book. Like, give.
You can roll again.
Sure. 16.
Now it gets fuzzier. It's like the closer you've gotten, the harder it has been.
They put the book out at, like, arm's length.
Roll again.
Oh my god.
It's even worse.
Like,
is that
they
even a fucking word? You don't know.
They flop backwards, like, you know that thing where, like, you're holding a book at arm's length to read it, and, like, you're laying on your back?
Yes, they just...
Like, it's almost literally they are wrestling.
They just go... Laura just kind of slowly turns to Glue and goes to talk, but they're processing.
He has lots of time to process. They might be at this for. I mean, how many rolls did they get, hon?
I mean, don't worry. Here, one moment. Laura's gonna lean forward and just Glue.
They don't look up.
Laura hasn't touched the book yet, but he kind of goes to reach for it. Does Glue do anything?
I mean, like, they hold on to it with their horrible cold corpse fingers.
You notice that here, roll again with advantage.
Sure. No.
I'm just gonna fucking give it to you. You notice as Laura grabs the book, that word snaps into focus. It says meridian.
They sit up like Dracula.
Laura moves his hand and kind of looks at Glue like, are you okay?
They're now peering very closely at you, with similar intensity that they were giving this book.
Laura kind of looks a little taken aback, not scared or anything, but he kind of just like looks off to the side, looks off to the other side, looks back at Glue like, what he doesn't say this, but like, what did he do? Did he do something wrong?
They look at the book, they look at him.
Laura just, is there something you want to ask?
They tilt their head, probably about 120 degrees.
Fun.
You can roll insight, if you like.
Yep, they would love to. That's a 19.
19. Well, you did something to the book, and now they are extremely interested in you. Like, this is the fact that they couldn't read what the word said was almost morally outrageous to them. And then so now it's like, who are you?
You're glitching out a little bit.
I am? Shit.
Yeah, is that me or is that you? One moment.
Is this better?
Maybe. One moment. Let me double check.
Wait. Sorry, folks.
Okay. Try again.
Hello?
Okay. Yeah, it's good now. Sorry. Can you say what you said before?
Yay! Okay, so The fact that they couldn't read this word was almost morally outrageous to them.
Mm-hmm.
And they couldn't read it, and they couldn't read it, and then you fixed it. You, somehow. So now they're just like, ooh, who are you?
Well, do you want to roll insight on lore?
Sure. 24.
Wonderful. Well, this kid has the same symbol in the book. This kid has the same symbol that's on the front of the book.
Mm.
This kid and the book are probably very closely related somehow. That probably has something to do with this.
Mm.
And something that it did say, it did mention a god of lore. And that this is probably their symbol. This kid probably either worships him or knows something about that. And that word meridian, they must know what it means.
Mm. I'm going to roll religion. 17. Would they have heard of lore? Not Lorem, but lore.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Mm. I think they they sit back and sort of tilt their head up to the ceiling as if remembering something, and their mouth sags open and goes, Lore, the god of lore. Yes, the name is rather redundant, but hopefully neither of us will have anything to do with him.
So that's fun because lore did not introduce themselves as lore. They said Lorem.
Mm.
And Lore looks startled and a little
Yeah,
afraid.
here's something fun. Gloo also looks startled.
I love this.
Yeah, they're just like staring at each other like they're in the headlights.
Lore eventually, he kind of jumped back. Like he was sitting, so he kind of like skittered a little. And he just says, "Where did you hear that? And from who?"
They do a shrug. I don't know.
No, no, you don't understand. They just look away.
They do a shrug. They really don't know. Like, literally, they don't have that knowledge. They do,
Mm-hmm.
when the surprise fades away, they do look a little bit sad. And then the sadness also drains away, and they um, seem pretty empty.
Sorry, fixing headphones.
Oh?
It was being dumb. Okay. Um, yeah, Lore, like, not squints, but looks concerned and comes closer again and just says, are you okay?
They also shrug.
Laura just looks frustrated, but like in a funny way, and just goes, that's not helpful.
They shrug again. Sorry, friend.
Laura just kind of gives a sigh and sits back next to Glue and just goes, what, what was that exactly that you said again?
They open their mouth again and go, Lore, the god of lore. The name is a little bit redundant, but hopefully neither of us will have anything to do with it.
Does the voice sound familiar?
Not really.
Laura is having a think.
Mm. I think that, You're deep in thought,
You're getting
and then they
robotic
open
again.
their mouth. Second, oh man, beep boop, I'm a robot. Fuck you, Discord. Hey. What can I do to help this?
Yeah, here, let me see if I can do something on my end.
Yeah, I can see, it's like my internet's cutting in and out, and I don't know how to fix it. So let's try without, hang on. This might fuck things up, but I'm going to try to unplug something. Okay, how's this? Hello? Wow, how badly did that fuck something up? Okay, you can hear me. Yay, thank you, magic. Darling magic, wonderful magic. Love you. Katie? Hello? Oh? Katie! Either they're dead or I'm dead.
Okay, sorry.
Hi.
Yeah, you're good again. Was
Yeah.
resetting a thing.
Yeah, I noticed that the connection was doing something weird, but I unplugged my my connection, so hopefully that'll be better.
Awesome.
We probably want to take an intermission so I can make sure that the chickens aren't dead soon though.
Alright, do you
But
want
we
to
can
go
finish
now,
this.
or do you want to finish up, like, to a different spot?
Well, you just asked a question, so at the very least I can answer the question.
Yeah, I don't remember what I
and
asked.
You asked where did he Oh, that's right. They do a shrug and they look considering, and then they go in the same voice. Applied for Lorem, a trickster god who is associated closely with the rule of funny. Also bad news. Also don't approach. Just stay away from gods, will you? For my sake. And then they shut their mouth and they look again, just sort of like, what the fuck was that?
I'm loving this, but also, holy shit. Okay, Laura's keeping his cool. Actually, no, that would be disadvantage. That's an 11.
11.
Laura looks shaken.
I think that they sort of like they settle and like sort of reach for his shoulder slowly to sort of comfort Pat.
Yeah. You notice that this kid was not afraid of you, but they're terrified of what you said.
Mm.
Especially the part where it said, just stay away from gods.
I think that like it's almost as if like they're not the one deciding to say this. They open their mouth and go, continuity. Could think of him as a little bit of a records keeper. Impartial. However, impartiality does not excuse you for being a bastard.
Laura's just stunned. Like they open their mouth and close it a few times and then lean forward and hold their head looking so confused. Like, what the fuck is happening?
Like I'll say for this voice, it almost sounds like someone is reading from a book and then making asides. In almost like a lecturing, like almost a teacherish voice. It's this clipped female, you know, eh, eh, maybe a little bit older, collected. Um, very much unlike the person in front of you.
Mm. Laura, just after a moment, just says, "You don't know who this is."
They do a huge shrug, like it's they. They are also like, what the fuck?
Laura just turns and looks at you, just upset. Not at you, but just upset.
Mm.
Like they could almost cry.
If they reach forward, will he let them pull him into a hug?
Yes.
They do. And it is bony and cold, and there is limbs everywhere, but can feel them very gently press you close. And that is very comforting.
He actually does let out a few tears, but it's quiet and he sniffles because this is not okay.
Mm. I think that he hears the same voice but softer, almost as if the original was a whisper, but it's spoken at room volume. Go, you're okay. It's all going to be okay.
Oh gosh. Lure just kind of leans back after a second very slowly and looks up at Glue and then looks down and says, "Do you know what happened to the god of lore?" And they look back up, kind of nervous.
Mm. The question, I guess, the question is how much of Laura's disappearance would have been documented by the academic community at the time, or since actually.
It's usually similar to my drawing, but it's usually a person with words on their skin and piercings with some sort of tied back hair in what looks like scrolls.
Hmm. But in particular, the disappearance.
Uh, just suddenly kind of faded, almost as if
Mm.
intentional. Yet they, if you're academic and study gods, you know that for a fact the domain didn't disappear, so that's sketchy as fuck.
Mm. They open their mouth as if they're going to play another echo, and then sort of look at him like, "Is this okay?"
Lore nods.
They open their mouth and go, "Well, there's been some speculation that either he was kidnapped or stepped down voluntarily. However, what's really interesting is that there's been no actual arcane design difference, meaning that the domain has at once stayed steady and relatively unchanged. Now, this is something that could be useful to us just to know about, if only for, I suppose, a baseline. I really would be interested to see sort of I suppose, the alternative. However, that would be incredibly immoral to bring about on purpose. So, this is all theoretical.
The opposite of what did you say? I missed just
The
the
the alternative to this,
alternative to disappearing, or
to the domain holding steady.
oh, the alternative of it not holding steady.
Yes.
I wiggle. Does a oh gosh, I told you. Let me DM you. Um,
Hmm.
okay.
Hmm. Oh boy. Actually, um, I would love a quick break so that I can take care of my animal.
That'd be fantastic. I can DM you more things. Do you want to pause the recording? Or do you
We
want
might
to
as
keep it
well.
playing? Okay, cool. I'm gonna pause. And no, there we go. Sorry, my recording broke, so now I'm gonna have two. But it's okay, I'll have two.
Okay,
The
I guess we're
chickens,
using my recording.
or I can try to figure out a way to put both of them in it. We'll figure it out later. We're back! Yay!
We are back.
uh,
Gosh. Okay, so
the chickens are fine.
the chickens are fine. The chickens are in bed, sleeping little dreams of destruction.
Yep, the atrocities that they will commit.
Atrocities.
Having little
That's where I
dinosaur
get my.
dreams.
That's where I get my atrocities. I have
Yeah,
my chickens.
you just confer with the evil spirits of the chickens. Got a little seance in the coop.
Hmm. Fun fact: this is how TOC. No, never mind. That's not it.
TOC's real, and they live in your coop.
There's a horrible little gremlin out there.
Anyway.
Anyways,
What did we say last? I don't remember.
oh, there was one more thing that glue had on recording, sort of. And like they're considering what they've said already, sort of lost in thought, and just sort of like, well, there is an antithesis to lore. These we do actually need to be careful of because one, we have no idea where it is right now, and two, it could seriously fuck up our research. Actually, well, most things divine could fuck up our research, but this one is sort of targeted. This is a word might be the torn, as in pages, torn pages, is a little bit esoteric. Associated with the writer's block, stagnation, the absence of a story, sort of uh, endings that do not resolve what has come before. Yes. Anyway, well, let's just say it's bad news and it's somewhere. So, actually put that on the board just to make sure that we keep a note. And
well, that's fun.
yeah, I like it as the recording plays or the echo plays. Glue sort of like shrinks and wilts into themselves until they're like this angled little ball on the floor. I think they're still sort of like holding on to lore, so you're sort of curled around almost protectively. And like they're sort of like their eyes shut and they say it thrives on destruction. It thrives on destruction. It thrives on destruction. And they seem to be caught on that.
Laura's frozen and kind of clutching at his shirt as if to hold on to something and just staring. Sure, kind of caught in that moment before full panic.
Yeah, it's glue does not look well.
Neither does Lore. They remember Flo saying something about the fact that they were things that would not like Lore and were targeting him, which is why they didn't want him knowing, because as soon as he knew, the likelihood of it finding him would increase.
Mm.
And it thrives on destruction.
It thrives on destruction. It thrives on destruction. And every time they say it, like it's like they can't stop. They flinch and they flinch and they flinch, tighter and tighter around Lore, like until he's basically like in their lap being curled over.
Yeah, Laura's shaking.
Yeah. Boy.
It's fun though for me.
Gosh. Before anyone yells at me too much for this, I point at KT.
I take
There's the
all the
bastard.
blame. I am a bastard.
Yes.
Hello. Chaos has no pronouns. I point at Flo. That's just me.
And we
Maybe.
love you for it. Anyways,
How dare you do this?
this is my vengeance. Compliments.
Shit. I die. No defense. How dare, I guess, if FPS over, I guess I'm dead.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, folks.
I come
No,
back.
anyways.
I need resolution.
I think we just established that, no, actually. Gosh, it should probably be a wisdom saving throw for both of them to try to snap out of this.
Yeah, that first one was a whiz save, which is a 9 for lore. That's a 15. That's a 23.
And 23.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's it cuts off halfway through an iteration. It thrives on, and they just look down. Oh, and like they have tilted their head upside down, chin pressed against their chest to look at you, Lore. And yeah, the panic and the fear and the misery all sort of drain away, and they're just sort of they're chill again.
Laura's just holding their head and kind of shaking, and won't stop staring at some spot, but not really focused on it.
They.
But he starts to breathe and try to calm down, and he tries to relax some and try not to think about it too much. But how the fuck is he not supposed to think about that?
They I think they uncurl a little bit and sort of like hoist him so that like he's basically sitting sideways on them, and like almost like you're a little kid. They wrap you up, not quite, but and then they just start saying nonsense words or just like little snippets of conversation in um different voices. There's this soft, almost melodious female Scottish voice. There's a small little child's voice that sort of pipes up very frequently. A low, sort of slightly awkward, very officious voice with maybe a little bit of a UPA accent to it. And it like there's dozens of like those are probably the ones that show up most frequently. Um, and then there's others that are almost as frequent. And then there's, it sounds almost like snippets of conversation that have happened in different rooms. There's the librarian, there's maybe other librarians that you've talked to in the past. There's occasionally there's that clipped female voice again, but most of the time when that one shows up, it's almost echoey. Yeah, it's that very officious UPA accented voice. That actually does sound like Tome. And then a few lines later, that sounds like Camille.
That kind of snaps Lore out of it, and he kind of looks at Glue with kind of a neutral expression that has like an edge of panic, but it's just general panic, not panic at the voice. But he seems to recognize those voices.
They pause and they go, Private Investigator Grimtome.
They kind of flinch a little bit, looking guilty.
Sort of adjust their hold on him. Just quiet. And then they look around and they realize that they are holding a perfect stranger just sort of in their lap. Well, in for a penny. They don't move.
Yeah, this is a kid. They're probably 18.
Yeah. I'll give you this for free. Like underneath the spookiness, this person is also, about 18 as well.
That kind of this seems to dawn on Lore, and they look back at Glue and say, "Are you my age?"
My age?
18.
They go to nod and then they consider. They nod, but it seems like they're picking the simple answer instead of the long answer.
You're around 18? Lore kind of smiles.
He's sort of seesaw.
I don't know many people my age. They just kind of look down.
I think that they consider, and then sort of this kind of a kindly voice says, "Well, you seem to be 18, but you were 18 the last time I saw you a year ago, and you were 18 the year before that, and I have to assume the year before that and the year before that, judging by the wear on your teeth."
Lore just kind of
So
hunches their face up and like in confusion and look back at Glue. And can I just follow what Lord Muse is saying?
sure.
Cool. The Lord just looks at them very hard. And Glue, you know that this is definitely a human, but their eyes are purple.
Mm,
But you think,
yeah,
hey, do you want to roll? What's your highest modifier?
their highest modifier, um, probably be the +6 to medicine or insight.
Roll insight.
Okay.
Or medicine, I guess either is fine.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Boy, does that feel weird that you immediately assumed they were human. You did not have to put any effort into that, and that seems suspicious. And it leads you to believe that doesn't feel right.
Yeah, they sort of like, they tilt their head, a good 110 degrees again.
Laura just thinks, still looking at you. And there's a bit of a glow to their eyes for a second, and then they say, "Are you empty? But, are your memories gone?"
Empty.
Do you not know your story?
Story.
No story?
No story.
Laura looks so sad and stricken at that.
They sort of like, they study him, sort of pat his face. Like, the thing where you put your palms on someone's face and sort of squish lightly.
Yes.
It's one part comfort, one part looking at those eyes.
Laura just kind of looks at their hands and looks back like he's not going to do anything about it. This person's been pretty
Yeah.
chill. And you do notice that they did look a little afraid at the fact that you might be empty. And you remember what that book said about those beans with no story. And you figure, hey, that might be part of this kid's culture. Maybe this person's from where those stories are from. Maybe that place is called Meridian.
I'll say, while they're staring at you, Laura, you can see twin reflections in their eyes of your own face staring back at you.
They look uncomfortable about that. They don't necessarily like seeing those reflections at the moment.
Mm,
Not that they can tell it's purple.
yeah.
Well, you got a lore on your lap being squished, and they're just kind of taking it.
Yeah. It's interesting because one part is like you can feel sort of the comfort of like touch and grounding, and then you can feel maybe the discomfort of like the sort of clinical examination.
They look a little confused at you, and then they just kind of look slightly away from your eyes, but not in a way that you can't see them, and kind of lean it into your hands. They're tired, and this is kind of nice.
One second.
It's a criminal.
Come on, buddy.
A kitty.
The criminal has returned.
Criminal.
Um, wait a minute.
40 years have they
Um,
spent in the hallway. How dare you? They did not deserve this sentence. It was not them who stole the tuna. Totally not.
gosh. Man, I think that like they sort of like they unsquish his face and just sort of like go back to chilling and like having him in his lap. It's kind of nice just holding him.
Where did the book end up?
The book is um probably on the floor, sort of. I like to think sort of leaning against one of their feet.
Laura kind of gently picks it up and looks at the cover.
I think they say in sort of a bubbly sort of like prying male voice, like, "Oh, would you be the author?"
I laugh. I also failed to mention one thing about this book. As opposed to most books where they face, uh, where you open it and read left to right, this one is the opposite. You open what would normally be the back cover
Mm-hmm.
and read left to right. I mean, right to left. I don't know
Right to
directions.
left. I pat, neither does lore.
You pat by the way?
I said, I pat, neither does lore.
You read his lore?
I said pat, and also neither does lore.
Neither does lore what?
No directions.
Ah, yes. My brain didn't work. I'm like, huh? That went
Oh,
over my head very far. I'm not tall enough to catch that. Anyway,
on.
man, you always have those moments where like somebody like stuck a pencil in your ears and you're like, that didn't work. Anyway, uh, yeah, Laura looks at it and kind of looks at the book and kind of furrows, their eyebrows, thinking, and they're like, um, I I didn't write this, but maybe I did. They look confused at that statement.
Hmm. Blue nods, like they get that feel. They get that feel.
They just kind of look at glue and look back at the book and sigh. I guess they say, um, I guess I'm also potentially older than 18 if you want to look at it that way, but
Hmm.
they just kind of look away.
They sort of look at him like, "You want to share, buddy?"
And they just kind of sigh. Maybe, I don't know. I was advised that it might not be a good idea. Um, They kind of bite their lip and look at the book.
They mime turning a key over their lips and throwing away the key over their shoulder. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
that one they won't repeat.
Cool. Laura kind of looks at them considering, and I'm gonna just maybe get a vibe check.
Sure.
Oh, that's a nat 20. Yeah, no, they trust glue. But they do also tilt their head and be like, are you gonna tell that person anything I say? The one who knows so much?
They open their mouth and they go, I'll be back before you know it. And look very, very sad.
You don't know
You
where
can
they are?
probably they nod. And also, I'll say, because you probably get that in stories when people say they'll be back before you know it, they don't really come back a lot of the times. So you can sort of get
Mm-hmm.
that.
Oh, yeah, Laura gets that.
Yeah, this is someone who has been gone.
Laura kind of nods slowly and looks away for a moment before looking back. If they came back, would you tell them?
They shake their head.
Okay. One other question. Um, if they found out what happened to the god of lore, would they do anything about it?
I think they repeat in your voice. Anything?
Is
Sort
that
of like
would they pursue them? Would they try to study them? Like, he kind of looks away.
they shrug. They don't know.
How they look back for a second. Um, how do you feel about gods? Yes, no, maybe so.
They shrug. And I think that they sort of consider and they say in that clip voice, the purpose of magic, all magic, anything wielded by a sentient creature, is ultimately to make someone's life better.
Lorem kind of smiles softly at that and looks down. That seems to, for some reason, have made them feel better. You're not sure why. And after a second, they take a deep breath and huff it out and kind of clutch that book tighter and hand it over to you and point at the cover, at what that symbol is, and then point at their earring and say, "This is the symbol of the deity lore. I'm from a country that worships them." You see them, you see Lore hesitate at how they're referring to this god, because you get the feeling that for whatever reason there's something potentially there in how they paused. I give this to you as I know you have a high insight.
Mm.
And then they open up the back cover and point at the flower and point at their shirt. My family prints books, usually underneath another publisher, and you know that we worked with them because of our flower. But for whatever reason, this book only has the flower and the name of what I now know is my country, which I didn't remember previously for reasons. Meridian. I'm Meridian, I guess. And they kind of trail off thinking about that. Yeah, I'm from a place called Ordinal Point, in Meridian. And they kind of seem to be rolling around that concept in their head.
I think they say quietly, meridian.
Yeah, meridian. Like the
Meridian.
like maps. Yeah.
They're still listening.
Laura takes another deep breath and sighs and says, "Well, apparently, what happened to that god that your friend was interested in is," and they point at themselves, "they decided to become human and try to become a better god, kind of like what you were saying." And they just kind of have their shoulders slumped and they look down.
Mm.
And that human didn't know any of this till recently.
Mm. I think they pull him back into a hug.
They're just kind of limp. I think Lou's the first person they've told outside of that first meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Because
They just sort of.
they implied some things to Olo but did not say it outright.
Mm-hmm. I think that they see three things. The first is in that clipped female voice, and whoever that is says, "You are the only one who gets to decide who you are." Then they say in the librarian's voice, "We all know what we have to do." And then they say in a voice that they haven't said anything in yet, "But that doesn't mean that you know for sure about anything at all."
Laura just kind of sits and takes those words in, um, kind of trying to think and mull them over before they pause before saying, "Everyone keeps saying, well, everybody who kind of knows my situation keeps saying that I'm the one who decides who I am, and it's my choice. And I know it is to an extent, but something happened recently that influenced my behavior that I didn't want. And I don't know what that means, or if it's going to happen again, or if that actually means I get to decide. What happens if I remember? Am I still going to be who I am now? I don't really know. I don't like that."
Mm. They pull out a notebook and pen, and it takes them probably a good minute to write in it. They're a good writer, but a very slow writer. For some reason, this is trickier. But when they show you the notebook, it says, um, "Surety is the enemy of ingenuity, of change." The
Surety
fact that
is?
surety, as
Mm-hmm.
in being sure.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I just didn't hear it.
If it is stagnation you have to fear, then what you don't know will is surely your ally.
Miller kind of looks at that and pulls out his own pen and writes, "What if not knowing is the stagnation?" and hands it back.
They write, "Then learn."
Lore kind of pauses at that and holds up the book, which they had handed to Glue, but I imagine they take it back softly and hold it up.
Mm.
And look at Glue for a second and very quickly write, "Will you learn with me?"
They say, I think that they just hold up, they hold up a fist and nod with it in a sign language. Yes.
Lore signs, "Do you know sign?" and smiles.
They do a seesaw motion and they sign difficult. And you can see that they are as slow signing as they are writing. It's you can kind of get the feeling that anything that's original takes a lot of effort. They only do it when it's important, or when they want to express a sentiment that they couldn't otherwise.
Yeah, Lore says, "Maybe we can learn about you too."
They look slightly doubtful, but they nod as if that would be nice.
Lore gets a.
And then I think, like, there you go.
Sorry, Lore gets a kind of a silly smile on his face that almost looks tongue-in-cheek and just says, "Well, you never know. Maybe if I remember God shit, I can tell you something." And they kind of lean back. And you get the feeling that they're trying to be a little funny, at least if only for themselves.
I think they consider this, and then they stand up and they sort of lift him up onto his feet. They're not really that tall, or they're not really that strong, but they're tall, so it's funny, so it works. And they sort of they consider, take him by the hand again, and they lead him actually further into the library.
Laura's clutching that book.
Yes. And he takes them through more twists and turns, past more nooks and crannies. You definitely have to walk on the ceiling. There's a rope bridge. At one point, there's like a kind of puzzle trap that you have to sort of jump over.
Laura just kind of whispers under his voice, like, "Books and stories, this is more complicated than the archives."
And eventually they lead you through a door and into sunlight. And they are walking across a little bit of roof to, it looks like a trap door into a clock tower.
Laura kind of looks around and takes in the fact you can see Toontown, like all of it.
It's a pretty great view.
Yeah, it pauses before following because he's not used to towns this big.
Yeah, you can probably see sort of in the distance, it looks like someone has a vegetable garden on their roof. Little black dot bobbing through it.
Laura
Anyways.
And continues to follow Glue.
And they open the trap door and sort of slither through it with their lanky self.
Laura just kind of hops down and closes the door behind him.
Yeah, it's up.
Well,
but,
then they do that. They literally hop up like fairly easily.
Yeah, and then you are in a big. The inside of the belfry is lit through this huge glass clock face that is built so that as the sun travels, the light changes according to which colored lens the sunlight goes through. And you can see it looks like a home. You can see a sort of a rickety, long, narrow bed in the corner, next to a rickety, long, narrow bookshelf, and then across the floor is children's books and children's toys, and a couple of clothes scattered around, like just general children detritus. And there's a little, almost a kitchenette by now, with a long narrow fridge, and then like some colorful like Tupperware kitchenware.
What
That
lovely
like
shades of gray.
mm, there's it looks like a little kid's bed that's like it's part bed, it's part desk, and then there's also like a tower that a little kid could climb in if they wanted to, with little bookshelves.
His eyes sparkle at that. That's cool as fuck.
Yeah. And I hang on, let me type something.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. And they cross over to the fridge and the counter, and they start it looks like they're pulling out they're pulling out the fixings for some sandwiches. 3 to be exact. Well, it actually looks more like 2.5.
Look kind of looks down and then looks back up, and then looks down and then looks back up from the sandwiches to glue, and then says, "Do you have a kid?"
Hey, Lord. Also, hi, I'm here.
Yay! I hug you.
Hi. Do you want to roll a perception?
Yeah, we get a cameo for magic.
Yes, I seem to be in all of Glue's FPSs.
It is
You're their
necessary.
kid.
You're their
I-
child.
But also, you can tell us no whenever.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair. But also,
That's
that's the wrong chat, and
Oh.
also a 10.
Shoot. I clicked the wrong
Hold on.
one.
Where is... God, I kind of don't want to give it to you, but I want to
Then-
give it to you.
You choose. I can reroll if you want in the proper chat.
Yes, reroll in the proper chat.
Ooh, it's like floor dice. They don't count.
Floor dice.
Digital floor dice. It's slightly better.
13. You could have sworn you saw, like, something in the Princess Tower that was just, like, I don't know, not exactly book-shaped. Very small, though.
Mm.
Maybe it was, like, a plushie they left in there, or...
Can they take a closer look? Because Laura is curious. They're just kind of looking around. They might as well.
Yeah,
You're going to ignore this beautiful sandwich that Glue has made you?
Are they done making the sandwich? Because as far as I know, they were in the process of making the sandwich.
They have set one in front of you.
They've
set another at like the place on the. There's a low table with like cushions you can sit on. There's a sandwich adjacent, and then they keep the half sandwich for themselves.
Luke kind of looks at that and looks back at the tower and decides to sit down because they'll probably figure out soon enough.
And they stare fixedly at the tower.
No, they just sit down to eat their sandwich. I don't know if they're facing the tower or not. And they take a bite, but and swallow, but look at Glue saying, "Is that really enough for you?"
hmm they nod. They look down, like, they actually look a little bit doubtful that they'll finish this.
Laura creases their eyebrows and looks concerned / doubtful, but nod, because, I mean, they're real thin, and they're Toon. They're not going to assume they know how this works.
With a 6, a certain someone has not come out of her princess tower.
Laura looks at
Gloo will rise and go to the princess tower.
Are you gonna look inside?
Yes.
Moss is sitting in there, and she seems to be fully invested in a book. It's a kid's book. You can tell by the font lettering. How big it is. You know, like one of those books you find on a Scholastic book fair. Because I think that's funny for some reason.
Oh no, it's hilarious.
Yeah, you see them go over to this. Oh, sorry, you go.
No, go ahead.
Laura, you see them go to this wizard tower, look in, reach down like they're pulling something from the bottom of a barrel, and then they emerge with a tiny child with a large book, like, together wrapped in their arms, and just sort of like deposit her at the table.
Okay, that was just to see how well Laura keeps their cool, because a child.
I might have you roll a disadvantage because this child is a total of 2.5 feet.
Okay, it is wanting me to have a 19. It's okay, I know how to flavor 19. This. Laura's just like, eyes are literally sparkling, which, Glue, I'm gonna just say, you know, that's weird as fuck for a human. They're not supposed to do that. And they just watch you carry the small child and set them down to eat their sandwich, and they go, they like collect their thoughts and go, "Hi, what's your name?" And they're beaming.
And she looks up with her book with her big old Toon eyes. They're really big. And she kind of blinks. Hi, I'm Moss. Who are you?
Laura's dying. They're so cute. Damn it. Oh gosh, he misses his siblings. Okay.
Me makes this character as cute as possible on purpose.
I know, it's amazing. Laura sticks
in the
out
background, Glue is for some reason making a 4th sandwich.
Laura looks at that. To be fair, half of his sandwich is already gone. It's been like 3 seconds. Anyway, Laura sticks out his hand, very almost in a silly, proud manner, like, you know, emphasis, and says, "I'm Lorem, Squire Parith." He thinks for a second, looks at Glue and looks back and just smiles. "You can call me Lore."
Hi, Lore. And she reaches out her tiny, tiny hand to shake yours.
It's so tiny.
It's so fucking tiny.
Oh, does Moss want to roll insight?
Sure. That is a stat that I am definitely good at. 5.
5. Boy, is this tall person really nice. Totally normal. Totally, definitely a human. Pretty eyes. That's fun. Oh, their hair's floofy.
She's giving you a big ol' smile.
Yeah, Laura just shakes their hand and then goes, "Can I hold you?"
Sure?
You're allowed to say no.
She kind of glances at Glue.
Glue has come over with, they have wrapped up the sandwich, apparently for later, and they just sort of put it to the side of her plate, which they've done multiple times by this point, Moss. You know that this is one for your tiny little fridge for, just emphasizing food security.
Yeah. As she kind of like looks at them for like, do I do this? Sort of confirmation. Laura, you can notice she kind of like takes it and like squirrels it away in what's presumably her hammer space.
Mm.
He's dying. He's dying.
Yeah, they sort of bonk their chin to her forehead, and they sign with an effort. It is up to you. I trust him.
Lore looks so happy at that, Glue.
God. Yeah, you can pick me up.
Lore snatches you up and cuddles you very tightly. It is very good cuddles, and he's just like, you're adorable.
Thank you. You have a really nice face.
Thank you. I like your face too.
Glue has eaten half of their half sandwich and puts the rest on their plate.
God.
Lore
I
has
wiggle.
somehow finished their sandwich when no one was looking.
Mm.
Moss has been snatched.
Moss is snatched, and Lore is immediately like, what are your favorite things to do?
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Brain.
no,
Yes.
they can
Hi.
also just like, they're asking so many like big brother questions and just like having such a good time with this kid. And I'll just say it's fairly obvious to at least Glue that this person's probably an older brother of some sort or has little kids in their lives somewhere.
Mm. Gosh.
Oh, I can show you my toys.
Laura's just like,
She
I would
kind-
love to see your toys. I bet they're amazing.
She kind of wiggles in like that I want to be let down sort of manner.
Laura stands up and sets them down and follows them.
God, like one of your steps equals like 3 of hers.
Surprisingly, they're very good at keeping pace with you.
Yeah. She scurries over to her bed, and she picks up a red chicken plush, and hands it to you. This is Princess Diogenes.
Laura takes it. Very nice to meet you, Princess Diogenes.
I will continue to use this bit. She picks up another chicken. This is Wilfred. And
Nice
she
to
hands
meet
it
you,
to you.
Wilfred. Takes it.
She picks up another chicken. This is Tick. She hands it to you.
Laura takes it. Like, pleasure to meet you, Tick.
And this is Sir Gilbert.
Hello, Sir Gilbert. Wonderful day we're having.
And yeah, you're now holding 4 chicken plushies, none of which are the color black.
Laura looks around at the chickens and says, I met a black chicken once. They were really nice.
Really?
Yeah. Their name isn't Tick. It's Talk, though. That's kind of funny.
Huh. Why is their name Talk?
Because they're the ticked off chicken. But they're really nice.
What does ticked off mean?
It means angry,
Oh, okay.
but kind of like in a subtle way. Not always subtle.
She nods. This is a tiny child.
I'll say, in the background, well, Glue has gathered the dishes. And they sort of repeat. And actually, the wrong voice. Maybe they got the wires crossed. Take off, chicken.
Lord, did they recognize the voice?
Sounds like the clipped female voice from earlier.
Oh. Lore, a little bit more adjusted to it, kind of tilts their head at Glue and say, I guess that person knows TOC.
Mm. They tilt their they lean backwards to look at you rather than like turn to the right or the left.
I love them.
They look a little bit doubtful. And they make the sign for long ago.
Lore signs back, that's still knowing someone.
Mm.
Sometimes, at least. And Lore tilts their head, like, do you know TOC, Glue?
Take their head.
Huh, well, if you haven't met
And
them,
actually,
they're nice.
I'm going to make. Hang on. Because they do actually need to roll something. Yeah, they shrug.
Lord just kind of nods and then looks back at all the chickens he's holding. And his arms are big enough to hold all of them. And he goes, well, it's very nice to meet all of you. I'm sure you have a wonderful owner and you love them very much. And he hugs them. And he's like, where would you like them, Moss? Do you want me to put them back in the castle?
Just put them back on the bed.
He sets them down.
Yes, they are set on this princess-themed bed.
It is adorable, and he loves it.
God. I do wiggle.
Your brother has a similar setup.
God, I'm dying, by the way, at the mental image of tiny little Moss just like curled up in a nest of fluffy chickens.
So many chickens. Pio, pio, pio.
Yes.
Los pollitos tíos. Anyway, don't worry. Decent. Whatever. Anyway. Don't worry about it. I look away. Every time somebody mentions frickin' chickens, that song starts playing in my head.
Oh boy, I am surprised for princess.
Hey, it's a good memory.
Fair enough, okay.
Anyway, yes. Lord looks back down at Moss and crouches, and he's still very much taller than you. But Moss, you're used to tall people, so man, this person must be short. Anyway.
Yeah.
Sag. Yeah. Lord just goes, I'm sure talking about Big Brother things. If you want, I can ask you lots of questions, but then you're gonna have to think of answers.
Oh God.
So I kind of just put that off to the side of Lore is interacting with Child very well.
Child is interacting back, very excited to tell this lore person about, the things that they've colored, like show them off, some of the books that they read. She's not great at reading yet, but she's getting better.
Here's a fun question for Moss. Lore's gonna look at the pictures and be like, oh, want to know a fun fact? I can't see color.
Oh. Then how can you see?
It's all in black and white, like when you read a book. Shades of gray.
She kind of looks like this is something completely new to her.
Lore figured, and they just smile, and he points at the picture. Do you want to describe your favorite color to me? What does your favorite color make you think of?
Oh God. Moss, why did you give me this? What am I supposed to do with this? Okay.
I wiggle. Good luck.
Well, I really like purple, but also like blue.
I point at Lore, who is literally basically all in purple, and their eyes are purple. Lore just says, oh, purple? Well, I'm told that I have a lot of purple. And they just smile and laugh.
Yeah, you got purple on your clothes and on your eyes. And yeah. You look very neat.
Thank you. I think you look really neat too.
She kind of bounces. I will note, Lore, it kind of looks like she's wearing clothes like mismatched clothes you'd find on a Lost and Found.
Lore just kind of gets that and looks at Glue, kind of like he wants to talk to them about something later.
Yeah, it's looking around this room, you kind of get like they're a broke single parent.
Lore is concerned.
They're doing their fucking best. It's food is more important.
Yeah, food is more important. And they actually look at Moss and say, "Are you allergic to anything?"
She kind of.
Do you know what that means?
She gets like a cute like little thinking face.
That's the thing where
When you eat something or something touches you or basically something is around you and it makes you feel sick. When normally it doesn't for other people.
I don't think so.
Laura looks at Glue. Allergies, yes or no?
Make sure I haven't found any yet.
Okay, well. Do you know healing spells?
They do a thumbs up.
Cool. Laura
Got
pulls
those.
out Laura pulls out peanut butter cookies and hands them to Moss and says, "Have you ever had peanut butter cookies?"
Her eyes sparkle. 'Cause sweets, cookies.
They actually look at Glee really quick and say, "This is okay, right? Yes or no?"
They do thumbs up.
Okay, good. He sighs and then hands them to Moss, realizing he probably should have asked first. And these are really big
Moss-
cookies. They're lore-sized cookies.
Moss instantly devours a cookie.
Yeah, they're all yours. It's like a decent bag full of like 6 big cookies, and he gives them all to you.
No, wait.
She's bouncing. And
Glue grabs 3.
no, she's gonna fight Glue.
Glue just laughs and he's like, "I'm sorry, Glue. I thought you meant it was okay."
Like, yeah. They look at you like I'm imagining like
Tucks them to Hammer's face before they could take them.
I believe that would be a contesting Dexes.
Glue just kind of he's still crouched but like walks back on his feet because fight. Just wrestle. He's like, maybe I should get out of the way.
That's a 19 dex from me.
Let's see here. Yeah. They just scoop you up. I think that like
these
they
cookies
scoop
are like
you
the
up
size
and then
of Moss's
immediately
face.
start like, oh.
These cookies are like the size of Moss's face.
They scoop you up and then just start spinning round and round and round.
No! No!
Laura's just laughing.
she kind of wiggles. 'Cause how dare!
Laura holds out his arms and kind of nods to Glue if they want to switch.
Yeah, they like make as if they're going to toss her to Lore, but their hands stay on her the entire arc.
How I'm guessing the ceilings in here are pretty tall, right?
Oh yeah, like at least a good 30 feet above you.
Wonderful. Lord is the thing where I'm gonna say he's a fighter and he can do this, and I'm not rolling because this is cute and screw anybody else who says otherwise. He takes Moss and does the "Do you like to fly?"
She actually wait, hold on. And she goes and reaches into her hammer space, and pulls out a pair of flight goggles.
Laura loves Toon so much. He looks
and
overjoyed.
She puts them on, and they somehow make her eyes bigger.
That's amazing. You see legitimate like Toon sparkles in this real kind's eyes.
That's probably normal. She's like 5.
Exactly. This is normal. People's eyes just do that.
Yeah, of course.
Yep. And Laura goes, "Okay." And they crouch down real low and then go up, and you go like 10 feet up in the air, and he catches you without any issue.
She gives a delighted screech.
This boy has a 20 strength, has an amazing dex, and is a fighter. I am allowing him to do this. He has
I'll say,
proficiency with small children.
While your attention is upwards, you do notice it looks like a person-sized nest up there.
Wonderful. Laura catches Moss and throws them a couple more times, and then puts them on their shoulder and points up and says, "What's that?"
Oh, that's where Cass sleeps.
Who's Cass?
She's the other person taking care of me.
Oh, are they nice?
And she gives a cheery nod and a smile.
That's
She's
good.
she made me this friendship. Well, she helped me make this friendship bracelet.
And she holds out her wrist, and there's a little leather bracelet on it. It looks handmade,
Wonderful.
and it definitely looks like it's been made by a child.
Yeah, that's adorable. Laura smiles and goes, "Oh man, that's wonderful. You must have spent a lot of time on this. I can tell."
And she nods, like, yeah, she did spend a lot of time on this. God,
It matches your aesthetic, and he smiles.
God, she does a wiggle in your arms.
Lord looks at Glue like,
Right.
"This child is amazing, and I love them."
They nod. Yeah, she is amazing. It's while you have been interacting with Moss, I'll say that the lighting has gone from sort of this almost reddish maroonish purple to true purple to the sun is now setting and it's now sort of settling into this deep blue, and they have started tidying up and getting Moss's bed ready for lights out.
How small is Moss again?
Moss is 2.5 feet, like 2 feet, like I think 6 inches.
Wonderful. Laura crouches down and sets you down and crouches to your eye level and says, "Do you want to feel? Do you want to? Do you want to? Do you want to be portable as I help clean up?" You should
Sure.
say yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Laura reaches behind him. He has a little ponytail, and he takes it out, and his hair goes as it like fluffs out, and he just smiles at you. It's really silly.
She does giggle. God.
Mhm. This is his power move with kids. They think it's hilarious. And he lifts Moss up and puts her on his shoulders, and you're at the perfect height for this to be your pillow.
She definitely face plants into it.
It is amazingly fluffy and soft.
Yes,
Almost
good.
almost tunishly so. That's normal.
She's not going to question it. She's 5.
People just be like that. And Laura
like
walks around and asks Glue what he can help with.
Honestly, like, you kind of get the feeling that they're used to this.
Laura just deadpan looks at them like, just because you're used to it doesn't mean I can't help.
But there's sort of like they direct you to, honestly, it looks like you're probably getting the light stuff. Like pick up the clothes, fold the clothes, pick up clear the sink of dishes.
Yeah.
And meanwhile they're,
Surprisingly, Laura finishes each task pretty quickly and not messily. It's actually very well cleaned. You get the feeling they're used to you cleaning very quickly behind small children, causing chaos.
Mm-hmm.
At least it's only
Yeah.
one small child who is currently playing with your hair.
I look at Laura's 6 younger siblings. He has practice with this.
And the clock, which overshadows this entire scene, eventually turns to 7 in the evening. There's no toll, which is good because otherwise this room would be unlivable.
Yeah, no, that sounds
and
awful.
yeah, and Glue turns to you and sort of like holds out their arms ceremonially for the child.
Laura has pretty big hands. They kind of put Moss's stomach on their hand and kind of airplane them and go and like lands them in Glue's arms.
She giggles the entire time.
Laura's just like, "Oh no, crash landing! Ah! Oh wait, no, Glue got you. You're good."
She kind of like wiggles into Glue's arms. You are holding child now.
Yeah, they hold her close and they press their chin against her forehead in their version of a kiss. And I think they sort of like they hold her over the top of her wizard tower, like you do with dice in a dice tower, and let her sort of roll through the tower to the bottom. And when she's at the bottom, she's wearing pajamas, and they scoop her up again.
Lord just
God.
looks at that like, what the flip? Because Toon logic.
And
There's definitely some like Toon-age crash bang noises in there.
That's fine. Lore's fine. This is fine.
There's a cat meow and like a tire rolled out at some point.
Lord just looks at Glue so concerned, and just Glue does not make eye contact and just watches like this is normal.
mm. And at the very end, they scoop you up again, and Moss, you know the drill. It is now bedtime.
Yes, it is now bedtime.
Does she fight bedtime?
I'm going to say no.
I was about to say, if they do, Lore has really good practice with people who don't want to go to bed. I look at their youngest sibling, freaking Kettle. There's a reason he's a mage slayer. It's because she tried to use Hellish Rebuke on him every single night.
Yeah, and it's like they sort of walk around holding you, and they sing the same lullaby that they sing every night. Which I can break you off a piece of, or we can get on with the FPS, whichever you'd like. But
Peace.
hmm?
I want to know just.
They sing, come, my darling, lay your head down. Night comes swift, but dawn comes after. While you sleep, the stars turn after. But with dawn comes hope anew.
I applaud.
And they do this, Moss, until you are good and sleepy. And then you get deposited in a little nest of blankets and pillows and chickens, and all of your favorites are tucked around you, and they just sit for a second so that you know that you're not alone and that you're very loved. And then it's probably a few minutes of just like petting her hair and tucking her blankets while she settles to sleep.
Lore has sat down, is kind of leaning back on his arms, watching very fondly, and like he's remembering things.
It's really surprisingly easy, at least for Lore. It's surprisingly easy how such a small person with so much energy, especially after eating a cookie earlier, that was the size of her face, falls asleep in this bed.
He does not feel bad about enabling the child with cookies.
But yeah.
I look at the fact that he kind of spoils kids. I point at Camille. He can't say no to giving that kid coffee.
Oh boy, that's all we need. But
Yep.
eventually, Glue stands up and goes to sit by Lore. Just they're still I kiss you, Magic. Thank you for a wonderful cameo. They're still watching her.
Thank you, Magic. That was wonderful. I got to meet the child. I hold them and squish their face. They're so cute. Yeah.
But yeah, they look fairly tired themselves, but they're they pull their notebook close and they look prepared to do as much of this next conversation as silently as possible.
Lore, signs like you can understand signs, so I'll sign.
They nod. I think that the first thing that they ask is, where do you stay? Where is home?
They sign that they have a found family sister that they stay with most of the time, and that there's a little. Did they hear Camille's voice earlier?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They smile and gesture real small and say, "There's a little detective who's offered me some shelter too, on occasion." But he elaborates that he ends up wandering a lot because of god shit reasons that he does not have control over.
Mm.
And he just sighs and looks upset about that. Yeah, he elaborates a little bit like he thought it was a curse to be lost, but he found out recently it is, and he pauses for a second. And then signs a blessing of applied phlebotomum.
Mm. They sort of nod, so really as if curses and blessings are about the same thing to them.
Mm-hmm.
And
But magically they register differently.
I think that sort of look at Lore, look at the nest high above them, look at Moss, and they sign it will be a little bit of time before I can afford another bed, but if every other home fails, I would like you to have a place here.
How dare you do this? This is me, Casey. One moment. That's a nat 20. Damn it, Lore. Okay.
Roll with a disadvantage if you wanted to fail.
Nah, I'm just gonna ignore it. You wasted your nat 20. Anyway.
Steal a couch for the library, bully Hildegard. No, Glue is the one person who likes Hildegard.
Oh, Lore reaches into his backpack really quick and pulls out what looks like a really soft bedroll, and he says, I always got something to sleep on. And he smiles. He's like, I even got like a cotton tent and stuff in here. And he like looks down into it, but it looks like a tiny bag, but you figure, oh, it's bigger on the inside. Things like that happen. Mm-hmm. Typical.
They look approving, and then they take the bedroll from him and sort of like spread it out on the narrow bed.
Laura looks at Glue and then looks at the bed and says, where are you gonna sleep?
Point at the rafters.
Is that where you normally sleep?
They shake their head. But also, Cass isn't here right now.
Laura doesn't know that. Laura's like, sleep in your bed. I'll just sleep next to it.
They're like,
I'm sorry. I am not opposed to that.
They sign very slowly. We have 3 people and we have 3 beds. Why would you sleep on the floor?
Laura says, well, it'd be nice to have you on the same level as everyone.
They tilt their head 110 degrees.
Laura just says, looks down and looks back up and then looks to the side, a little bit embarrassed, and says, I like having someone nearby in case I wake up from a bad dream.
They nod, like this is acceptable. And then they lay on the ground next to the bed.
Laura picks them up and puts them in the bed.
On top of the bedroll.
They will if they have to. They probably take it and just look. Glue is sticks, and Lure has a 20 strength. They are,
Mm,
they are weeds in the wind.
mm. You sort of watch him resentfully.
Lure's like, well, do you want me to get in the same bed?
We're still staring resentfully.
Fine then. Spitefully climbs in,
Mm.
crosses arms, looks at Glue, like, is this what you wanted?
Out like they out of spite, they curl around him like a spider.
Lure did not expect that. But they're in too deep
Mm.
now. They can't back out.
Basically same.
Lure's like, fine. Secretly, they're very grateful.
Fine.
Because they're like, they actually do better with their nightmares if they're by someone. I look at the fact that he constantly shared beds with his little siblings because they were very attached.
Mm. Yeah, it's I will say it's not the most comfortable night you've ever spent. There's lots of elbows, there's lots of knees. There's a very sharp chin that digs into your very fluffy hair.
I look at the fact that multiple of his siblings legitimately have horns.
Mm.
I think he's good. Do you know how many times he's been headbutted?
Fair.
This boy can sleep like a rock.
But I will say, whenever you wake up in the night, it is soft and warm, and there's the echoes of a lullaby, twisting and turning in the air above you, and everything's going to be okay.
I'm gonna use that nat 20 for how well he sleeps.
Yes, good.
It's very good. And
yeah,
he definitely is gonna hang on to that book as long as he can. And he doesn't know what he should do about the fact that, like, yes, he can check it out. How will he return it?
I mean, actually, I have a question. Is there is there a date log in the inside the cover?
Oh, good question. I wiggle. What do you think?
I love a good epilogue. So if you'll permit me, perhaps our ending can be them
I permit you anything you want.
Yes. So as an epilogue, we zoom out on these two sort of curled around each other, warm and safe and good. And Moss in her own bed, so very loved. And then we cut to the next day, and Laura's standing in front of Hildegard. And Hildegard examines the book, sort of twists it this way and that, checks one cover, checks the other cover, turns it upside down, checks the cover again, checks the other cover again. What the fuck did you bring me?
Lore, this entire time, has been looking so nervously about this book, and he's like, it's a book I found on one of your shelves, and I was wondering, since it didn't have any library information, if it was supposed to be here or not.
They reach into the desk. They pull out a date log. They pull out a stamp. They stamp it with Toontown Public Library. They put the date log inside the cover. They close it. They open it back up. I assume both have changed. Or have gone.
Yep, they're gone. Lore looks at it very perplexed, low-key upset, and more cursing applied phlebotomum in the back of his head.
Yeah, she'll try this about 3 more times before she's just like, you know what? You hold on to this until I kill a god.
Yeah, the last time they open it, there's literally a pink note with pretty blue glittery writing on it saying, "No, thank you."
Oh, they take it. Excellent. They can actually use it.
It's signed Flo, straight up. They're not afraid of this librarian, and I'm like, that's I know you have a amount of fear of respect for them, but maybe don't mess with this librarian. And they just said, meh, in my head. So that's fun.
Oh boy. God, I love Flo and his fucking hubris.
Yeah, it's fucking hubris.
God, that can be an FPS in and of itself.
Yes, it can.
But yeah, for now, you get to hold on to this until such time as they successfully murder Flo.
Yeah, Laura is actually going to look at that note and be like, oh, that's applied phlebotomum.
I'm aware.
Cool, just making sure they're an ass.
Yep. Anyway, get out of my library.
Yeah, have a good day.
Make sure you come back. Glue likes you.
I also like glue. Hey, do you
Good.
not like me?
Nah, you're fine, kid.
Okay, just double checking. Cool. Bye. I like your hair.
Fan-fucking-tastic. Good job, Lore. Good job, buddy.
He didn't mess it up this time. I do like football cheer thing. I don't know sports.
Man, thank you all for listening.
We won.
Thank you, Magic. Thank you, my wonderful darling Magic, for coming in and playing this wonderful child.
Yes, very good. I loved them very much. Thank you for all who are listening. It was your choice to listen to this, so it's your own fault. Have a good time.
Tune in next time.
Yeah.
Yay.
Bye.
Goodbye.